just share this one other place. Give me 1 second. S'il vous plaît. So how's your weekend? That's what I want to know. How was your weekend? It was Memorial Day here in the Americas yesterday, and we had a wonderful time with our clan. There was a gang of us, there was 14 of us. Social distancing was as best practiced as possible. So we had a great time though, loving on each other and laughing and remembering wonderful days. Do me a favor, say hello if you are with me yet this morning, and let me know where you watching from, if you'd be so kind. This is your check-in with Kevin. I want to talk to you about how to be remembered. How do you want to be remembered? And going to give you some it's Memorial Day, and obviously that's what's spurring on that idea. And I want to just jump in here so we can share this and get the Facebooks sharing it so that we can get a few more folks in here. But I'm so glad you're here today, and again, let me know if I can't see you unless you let me know you're here. So go ahead and just pop a comment in, say good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you are, and let me know that you are with me, or at least that you can hear me okay. Lord have mercy. We're trying this new microphone thingamajiggy. Now that I'm actually seeing it, it's not really using it, I don't think. But anyway, you can let me know. Okay, so how do you want to be remembered is what we are talking about this morning. And hopefully I'll get on here and it'll let me share this. It might take a second. Okay, there we go. William Spence, man, great to see you, bro. It's been a while. Great to see you. Okay, I am sharing this on my timeline, and then we get to go. Okay, so how do you want to be remembered? That's the question. How do you want to be remembered? You know, most of the time when we are at a funeral, I know it's kind of, morbid a little bit, but most of the time when we're at a funeral, it's normally, after the fact, yeah? It's after the fact. And I want to just challenge us this morning to ask ourselves a few questions about how we would like to be remembered, in short. How would you like to be remembered? And there's a book that I stumbled across asking that question of all of us. And what I find, though, is that most of us tend to be spectators, right? Most of us tend to be watching even our lives unfold, one day at a time. And we may plan our careers, we may plan our holidays, we might plan the move into a new house, or even building a new house. And sometimes, or oftentimes, it doesn't occur to us to actually plan our life. And as a result, a lot of times people end up discouraged and disillusioned, wondering where on earth they went wrong. And I've been there. I've been there before. And so it's not a good place to end up. So here's a few questions, right? Right, yesterday we were remembering all that have fallen and sacrificed their all so that we could live full lives. We could live in fullness, right? And so in just thinking about the question, what if you were to write your obituary now? What would you like to see the paper say on the day after your passing? Of old age by natural causes, in your sleep, right? The best way possible, okay? What would you like for people to say? And it's not about living your life for what other people say, but it's just putting yourself in that place and asking that question. What would you like them to say about you when you're gone? I'm really, really grateful for folks who've shared, who sacrificed to allow me to have the freedom that I have today. Most of all, I'm really glad for my big brother Jesus and for his ultimate sacrifice for me so that I can live and love and lead in freedom today. Somebody sent me a video yesterday saying Braveheart's 25th year anniversary is this year. And I'm not sure why they're sending that to me other than it's Celtic and Wallace is pretty well known, and there's a red-headed Irish fella in there saying, "It's my island." And sometimes I claim Ireland as my island. But what do you want people to, or what do you want people to remember you by? And as we live our lives intentionally, it's not happening. It's just not happening. What would you like your spouse to say about you if you're married? And I'd love for you just to jot a couple of thoughts down. How do you want to be remembered? Let me pop this on the screen. How do you want to be remembered? Remembered. How do you want your spouse to remember you? What do you want him to say about you? Do you want them to say they chose blank over me? So I don't want mine to say that. How are you, Stuart? How are you, Muriel? How are you, Madge? How are you, Val? How are you, Willie? What do you want them to say about you? Hey, say hey in the chat area, if just to let me know I'm not alone here. How do you want people to remember you is the question. How do you want to be remembered? And unless we live our lives intentionally today, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow, right? Jimmy in the New Testament says, what is our life? But it's like a vapor. It appears for a moment and then vanishes away. How do you want to be remembered, gang? Is our question for this morning. And so I'm asking you to think about outcomes. I'm asking you to think about the end result so that you can have a clear picture in your mind. If you want that to be your outcome, then there are certain priorities that we want to put in place right now in order for us to get there. And then there's some action steps that we need to take in order to live those priorities in order to gain those outcomes. OPAs. Outcomes, priorities, and then action steps. What would you like your spouse to say about you? Is the question. I'd love Debbie to say that I loved her. how are you, Keith? Good morning. I would love Debbie to say I loved her, that she felt loved by me. There was a time in our lives where she believed I loved her more than anything, anyone in the world. Then there was another season in our lives where she doubted my love for her. I had no problem telling the girl that I loved her. And I love her still, just for the record, in case you're wondering. But I wasn't the best all the time at putting feet to me verbiage. In some respects, I feel like I'll spend the rest of my days finding ways to say I love you, I choose you. And I don't get that right all the time. I want her to know, I want her to remember me knowing that she was loved. And even, wait for it, understood that I got her, that I understood her, that I helped her accomplish her dreams. I want her to remember special times we shared together, laughed, times when we cried. Times when we had those type of hugs, and right now when you're not technically allowed to have too many of those hugs. I want her to remember those. Like, where you hold on just longer than normal. Hey, Bob, good to see you, man. How do you want to be remembered? How do you want your significant other to remember you? Just type something in. Just give me something. Write something down. How do you want them to remember you is my question. How do you want to be remembered? And unless you and I get clear and get intentional and make a decision about what the non-negotiables are in our stories, we're going to be pulled every which way but loose. So that's my first question. How do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered by your significant other? Right? Life might be really challenging right now for you and your significant other. Still, how do you want, God forbid you should die today of a heart attack. God forbid COVID should take you. How do you want to be remembered? What do you want your maker to say about you? The stereotype is, well done, my good and faithful servant. Yeah. I mean, I definitely want him to say that. But what else do you want him to say? Like, do you want him like, oh, you're finally here? I mean, I know he knows everything, but just get into the personhood of him, even though he's a spirit, right? I'm so glad you're here, or is he, I mean, this is not the type of God he is, right? He doesn't put his hand to his head and say, oh no, he's coming. Okay, let me gear up. What would you like your kids to say about you? What would you like your kids to say about you? How do you want to be remembered by your kiddos? How do you want to be remembered by your kiddos? How do you want to be remembered by your kiddos? Do you want them to believe that he was always working, she was always working, and didn't really have a whole lot of time for me? How do you want to be remembered? Do you want your kids to think, no matter what he was doing, where he was, he always made time for me? She always made time for me. He always took my call, or at least sent me a text to respond. I mean, what do you want of your kids? Yeah. How do you want to be remembered? And so I'm going to just throw out a few others here, and I would love for you to just take a little bit of time and just think about different categories, like how do you how do you want God? Like, what do you want Him to say about you when you're with them, right? Well, um, how do you want to look back on your life, before you pass into eternity? What do you want your life personally? What do you want to remember having done? How you lived? How you loved? What would you like your friends to say about you? Your friends. How about your friends? How about your workmates? He had me back. She had me back. They went out of their way to help me. What about ministry or service to your community? How do you want to be remembered? That's the question. How do you want to be remembered? And unless we answer that question, right, then we probably have very little chance of meeting that desired outcome. Unless we decide what the priorities are in our life, we have a very low chance of meeting those priorities, I would say. This is it's not a smiley face heading your way. You already have one of those. For those of you on Insta, you can't see, and so I'm going to show you this, okay? Imagine your life was full of rocks. And your life is like this bucket. So my question to you is the bucket full? Is the bucket full? What do you reckon, Bob? Is the bucket full? Who did I not say good morning to? I think I got most of you, at least that I'm able to see on here. Is the bucket full? It's full of rocks? Is the bucket full? Not a trick question. Just let me know in the chat area. Is the bucket full? Is this bucket full? No, not quite yet. You may have seen this before. Okay, so what if we filled in all of the gaps with pebbles? And we filled it all in with pebbles. So let's say it's now spilling over with pebbles. Okay, is the bucket full now? Is the bucket full now? Is the question I have for you. Is your bucket full now? Hey, thanks, coffee. And curls. Is the bucket full now? After we put pebbles in here. No. Okay. I see you. Okay. Okay. What if we put sand in between all the little crevices and all the little just hairline, so the sand in everywhere, right? Now, are we full is my question to you. Are we full now? Are we full now? Need some sand. Smart, yes, very smart. So we put the sand in. Is it now full? Is the bucket now full is my question to you. Still no? You're a tough crowd. Tough crowd. It's not full. All right. Let's say we get one more bucket and we pour in water. Right? And so I'm just going to go like this. There's water filling. And it fills in between all the pebbles and all the sand and all the rocks and all the stones. Is your bucket of life full now? Yeah, well done. So we got the water in there. Is it full now? Is my question to you. It's full now because I don't have anything else to put in. I don't know anything else that we could possibly put in there. Let me ask you a question. What do you think the moral of this illustration is? What do you think the takeaway for your life is in this illustration? Life lesson, maybe. Some people are saying, well, you can always fit more in. And that's true. You can always fit more in. You can always fit more in. Here's the takeaway. Ooh, make sure the big things are covered in life first. Prioritize. Yes, if you haven't seen this illustration before, you are just a smart coffee bean. You are correct, though. You are absolutely correct. If you don't put the priorities, decide what they are first, and put them in your life first, then there won't be any room for them later. You won't be able to get them in later. You won't be able to get them in later. And so, and most people, so these are priorities, right? Most people don't make this decision. And you are here for your daily dose, for your check-in with your brother, with Kevin, and so you're not most people. So my encouragement to you is this: decide on what the priorities are in your life. Put them in your bucket first. Prioritize your calendar and your time to make that be the life that you're living. And when you are taken from this life into the next, and you look back on the life that you've lived now, you will be able to say, I finished my course, I fought the fight. I've run my race with patience, maybe. There's a lot of people out there that will say, hey, God's got a wonderful plan for your life, and let me tell you what it is. So, I want to encourage you, just on the heels of Memorial Day, being grateful and thankful for what others have done to help us have the freedoms that we have today. I want to ask ourselves, I want to encourage us to ask ourselves the question, how do I want to be remembered by the people that are most important to me after I'm gone? And I want to encourage you to prioritize your life in such a way that you can do that. One of the tools that we have inside of our Live, Love, Lead Academy is called a life plan. It helps you design your life in such a way to live it in order to have the priorities be what you believe they're supposed to be, and have you break that down into action steps to help you make certain decisions to help you. And I'll give you a clue into it. To answer the question, what would your ideal be in that category area? And your ideal reality. And then you answer, what is your current reality? A lot of times there's a difference between the ideal and the current, right? And then what are some action steps that you can take to get you closer to living in the ideal place where you want to live, where you want to be, what you want life to look like, right? Jesus says, what do you want? What do you want? Our family was in over the weekend from North Carolina, and one of the questions that came up around the table was God's plan for us and His desire for us is, is there a say in it? Do we get to answer the question, what do you want? So I spoke about my kids. Like, I want the best for them. I want them to be fully alive. I want them to live in their gifting. I want them to obviously fall in love with Jesus and live from His strength and His power and His perspective ever more than they, try to figure it out on their own. It's so much easier. It's so much more powerful. It's so much more super possible way. That's what I want for them as a dad. And I believe that our Abba Father wants the same for us to live in the fullness of what He came to give to us. And so that's it. That's my encouragement for you this morning. And I just want you to encourage you to go away. Ask yourself that question. Hey, what's the ideal reality that I'd love in some of the most important kind of priority areas of my life? Don't get overwhelmed with it. And frankly, you don't have to do it all at once. I mean, you can look, what's the priority? You're so welcome, Coffee and Curls. You're so welcome. I wish I knew your name. I'll find out later. You're so welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's not only be grateful for those who've gone before us to give us the freedoms. Let's practice that. Let's voice that. Let's vocalize that. But let's also be intentional about the legacy that we want to leave and that we want to live and that we want to lead in such a way where we can have that be reality. Hey, in Insta, it's not there, and so I need to put this link in my bio or whatever, but I want you to go to bit.ly/CLC training. So bit.ly/CLCT and then lowercase raining. But it's really certified life coach training. bit.ly/CLCT or a INING, and the INING is in lowercase. And they'll take you to a registration page for a free masterclass at the end of this week about find out how if you have any interest at all in being a life coach, what could that look like? What might that look like? In a business sense or in a ministry sense, and want to invite you to be my guest. Love to have you in there, and that's it. That would be one action step I would love for you to take. And I'll put that link in the notes as well. And on Insta, I'll put it in my bio. So go there if you can't remember it, or if it's not working for you, and you'll get the link in there. And other than that, I will see you mañana to check in with Kevin at 7 for your daily dose. And I wish you a wonderful Tuesday. All right? God bless you. Take care. Goodbye. I have a beautiful team behind me. I could do this without all of them. And so I want to encourage you to jump in. If we can be of any help to you personally, professionally, in a counseling sense, in a coaching sense, we're here to support you. Give us a call, 800-910-5060. We would love and be honored to jump in with you. And do this. Share what was your takeaway from today. What was your most significant takeaway from today in the chat area? And I will revisit your thoughts a little bit later today. All right, take care. God bless.